Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. We'll continue on the security theme because in Plateau, where there has been a crisis and killings resulting from these herdsmen-farmers clashes, and of course the imposition of a curfew, well, the curfew has been relaxed, just as police have announced that they have indeed arrested, I think, in the region of 17 more suspects with arms, ammunition, locally made guns that shouldn't have been in their possession. And this was following from an earlier arrest that they had made. So it would appear that the police, are making progress. The whole idea, of course, is that there's been a lot of criticism of our security forces not being on their game, so to speak, because this has just been going on with impunity almost like forever. And so there was an outcry. In fact, so many things are going on at the same time. I don't know, it's not particularly related, but the news came out yesterday that a bunch of mobile policemen protested. It's in all the papers this morning, the non-payment of their wages, and then interestingly, the police public relations officer had come out and said that this had unfortunately been caused by the delay in the signing of the budget. But now that the budget had been signed, these police officers would be paid their dues, and effectively there is no protest. Then, of course, the Inspector General of Police, as you're also aware, visited Aso Rock, met with the Vice President behind closed doors. We don't know if he was summoned or if he just on his own proactively went to brief the Vice President. Because they're being tight-lipped about it. The Inspector General came out of that meeting, according to newspapers, without making any comments whatsoever. Going back to where I started from, going back to Plateau and the further arrests that have been made, you remember that it was said at the time that, look, politicians are probably most likely behind all these crises that we are witnessing. And the further arrests in Plateau, I don't know if you think sort of strengthens that particular idea. Okay, let's explore it. Sabo Ode, National Convener of Coalition for Nigeria and a social commentator, is with us again this morning. Thank you very much for coming on, Sabo.
Good morning, viewers.
Indeed, my pleasure. And Festus Akitola. Mr. Akitola is a security consultant as well as a political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on as well.
Good morning, viewers.
Indeed. Let me start with you, if I could, Festus. The news of the arrest of further suspects in Plateau, that's a good thing. At least it's different this time, because in the past there were people alleging near immunity. I mean, sorry, I beg your pardon. The word I wanted was impunity after all these atrocious events had happened. Therefore, this time, would you say there's been there's ongoing progress?
Well, looking at the progress on the Plateau State, one has to take a holistic look at the causes of the crisis. The causes of the crisis is dated back to the year 1991, when the creation of Just North and Just South was done by the then head of state, military head of state, that's Ibrahim Babangida.
Yes, but sorry, this is the historical perspective of the crisis.
Yes.
But as you know, between the time you're referring to and right now, a lot of water has passed under the bridge.
That's right.
You know,
the head of Miyetti Allah came out to say it's a reprisal attack.
And as you recall, another Miyetti Allah, maybe the national body, has said that that gentleman had no right to speak like that, and he even recanted the statement.
Well, you see, you will not understand, or we cannot put an end to the Jos crisis unless you understand the root of the problem in Jos. You see, it's highly political.
You know what? Sometimes these gremlins get into our machines. I understand the audio is bad, so we're going to have to go on a quick break. We'll fix the audio. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, please. Okay, we're back. Better than before. We got rid of the gremlins, I guess. And Mr. Sabo Ode's sound should be perfect now. Mr. Sabo Ode, National Convener, Coalition for Nigeria, and social commentator. You were saying, when I asked you whether the further arrests of suspects in Plateau was a sign of progress in terms of investigating this whole event, you said you needed to take it back to around 1991.
Yes, sir. We need to take it. If you don't understand the problem of any issue, you will not find a solution to it. That is exactly what I'm telling you. Now, the creation of Just Not.
Sorry, sir. I was looking that. Look, somewhere in the region of 30 people have now been arrested, and whether this shows a kind of seriousness to address this challenge.
We will come to that.
Now, okay.
We will come to that.
Okay.
The creation of Just Not and Just South local government. Now, in the Just Not, the crisis that is being precipitated in Plateau State, the repeated killing is born on the political reasons, and that is based on who control the Just Not local government. Because Just Not is predominantly, highly densely populated by the Hausa Fulani. And being populated by Hausa Fulani, should be the head of local government. And the problem is the paramount ruler of Jos, that is Bongbong Jos. Palace is situated at Just Not local government. And when we are saying that we'll be going to voting because of the population strength of the Just Not of the Hausa Fulani, and Hausa man will win an election there. And how would Bongbong of Jos, the paramount ruler of Jos, will be subject to a non-indigen? That is exactly the root cause of this problem all the while. And that has been an appraiser attack, retaliation over times, and this is the holistic issue on it.
What you are saying is that, to be almost simplistic about it, if you wanted to sort of grab hold of the heart of this matter in about 30 seconds, this is the issue.
This is the issue.
This is the very issue. What do you think, Sabo?
Yes, you see, we from the Coalition for Nigeria seem to think a bit differently. We know we have done a lot of groundwork in Plateau, and we have the directions that our work tends to point to always are politicians. People who are all the time trying to close their tracks, who must have plundered the state and looted the country, the state to its various level, and are at the moment arming the youths of the place and calling it all sorts of names. We have done a lot of work on this, and we are surprised that even government is not arresting a few people. Thanks to God. Yeah, thanks to God.
But that's where we started from. There are probably more arrests this time.
Yes,
than in recent times.
In the period of 48 hours behind, certain arrests have been made, and those arrests have led us to know that politicians are responsible for the senseless, unwanted killings in Plateau State.
So when people say, as Festus has, that, look, you can't rule out things like ethnicity. He didn't mention religion, but those are other bad boys that get talked about when a problem is going to be confused in our beloved land. That it's not an important factor. Is that what you're saying? Because you're putting this, as the authorities have said in the past, squarely at the door of politicians causing mischief.
Yes. You see, we from the coalition we are very saddened with what is going on. For the purpose of 2019 election, for the purpose of trying to close your tracks, based on the fact that you have looted this place. Take, for example, and I'm going to mention name on this platform this morning, and the government should begin to look at it. Jonah Jang, an elderly statesman, who is supposed to be an elderly statesman, who had ruled Plateau State for 8 solid years, turning around because evidences that we have.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm happy you use that word. that I hope you have evidence for whatever you need to.
That we have
say,
linked directly to this man.
well, when you say we have
after his arrest,
coalition, the coalition,
yes, the
for
coalition,
Nigeria?
the coalition.
That's the evidence
after
that
his
you have.
arrest, and
Well, the police has been able to make arrests.
Excuse me,
And the arrest they make all the make a useful
they have made
confession.
useful-
And they are saying the slogan is that they were sent in by politicians.
yes, and they have, some of them are mentioning names that you'll be surprised to hear in a few days. The
Because
government,
Donald Young actually said he's going to make the states ungovernable for the governor. That is his word.
So this, you know, because that's why when you sort of zeroed in on, look, there are ethnic reasons, really.
Sure.
You know, but so
those reasons are flimsy, but they add up. They add up to what is going on. You
they're
understand?
not the main story. You don't
They're
think?
not the main story.
Political mischief, you think?
Mischief, completely, to just close their tracks.
Would you agree that there's some truth in that?
Well, there is one sort of truth in that. But you see, they're hiding under one orgy. Because the clashes has always been between the Fulani X-Men and the Birom indigene. And the moment there is one crisis or the other, the politicians will go under either the Birom's, warrior faction, or they go under the Fulani faction to launch their attack. So this is exactly what is happening.
We have evidence. We have evidence that politicians sponsor even what you call a Fulani headsman right now.
Exactly. Now,
Yes.
the whole idea, we've said before that these things, for there to be a complete resolution of this matter, they have to be, these whole issues have to be looked at holistically. Yes. And we've said in the past that we, unfortunately, maybe it's not just us, anywhere you have politicians, anywhere you have administrations, sometimes truth is sacrificed, or shall I say, the entire truth is not brought to the fore. You bring some aspects of it out. Is it your thinking that this time around, now that the uproar has been as bad as it has been, that there is a chance that anything will be different and that we'll put everything on the table? Because I've heard the Fulani side saying that, you know, people should be fair and listen to both of us. They're listening only to one side and they're not listening to our side. The other people are saying, how dare you? How dare you speak like that? So it's murky waters. What do you think, Festus?
That is exactly what I'm looking. That's how I have to go back to the issue of the creation of Just North and Just South local governments. You know, when they had the crisis, there was this panel of inquiry headed by retired Justice Bola Ajibola, when the two factions were called in. And the indigenes were talking about the issue of creation of local government then, that the Elders Forum of the Bongbong, the indigene, sent...
Council of Chiefs.
The Council of Chiefs sent a letter or a memo, so to say, to Babangida then, that they should not create, that just local government should not be split into two. Because, you see, the concentration of Hausa Fulani is in the Just North. The concentration of Hausa Fulani, I think the population ratio is about 91.
It's a deliberate
For every
creation.
Fulani man on the streets in Just North, 91 to the indigene, that is the Birom indigene. And this is where we have the traditional palace of the Bongbong or Jos, being a first-class Oba, being subject to a Fulani local government leader, chairman. So you can look at it from the perspective. Jos is not a metropolitan city like Lagos, where we have in the Festac area, Ojo Alaba, where a non-indigene represented even at the Lagos State House of Assembly. You understand? This is the crisis is ethnic in nature. And the moment the federal government is not looking at that, bringing the two parties together, there may be no solution to the crisis. Now the politician is now hiding under the imminent crisis that is on the ground.
Yes.
To wreak havoc.
To wreak havoc.
That is...
And for the purpose of closing their tracks.
Tracks. That is exactly what is happening in Jos.
Simple.
Well, again, to you it's simple.
Oh, yes, it is simple.
But
you know why?
investigations are ongoing.
Oh, yes.
And we can only be sort of optimistic that this time around, you know what we talk about, the will to call it the way it is and lay everything bare, will hold. Are you optimistic that, look, maybe this time, because you're speaking out, police have got evidence, what statements?
I am certain that in a few days, that the federal government is going to make a very sound pronouncement, very thorough pronouncement on the issues of Jos. You know, these issues in Jos, as far as we know, are deliberate and to suit certain people, and we consider it from our perspective as very unfortunate. You know, this spilling of blood every time, and we know that it was crafted deliberately. Jos as an entity was crafted for all this to happen at the will and timing of politicians.
Okay, well, one moment. Benga in Abuja, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Yori, what is coming out as a revelation is not a surprise to me. Because you will know that Jos of Plateau State has enjoyed some tremendous peace for the past 3 years. And you could even the governor was boasting that the peace in Jos is because of the understanding he has between the herdsmen and farmers. And that's why it's not even introduce any law, because the peace, the accord they have, is being enjoyed by both, and it's with support of the government. This accidental kind of killing, everybody should know that there was a setup, a provocation from one side, knowing that if you do this, this one will happen. And that's really what happened now, because some people are behind it. They sponsor the military on both sides, so that you go and do this, there will be a reprisal, and this one will happen.
Okay, Benga, this is what you are working out from the stories that are floating around. This is your own particular deduction.
Even before this revelation, I know that killing was a kind of sponsor, because you know that if you do this to a Fulani man will do this back.
Okay.
It's like when you see a dog who has not been barking, lying down, and you hit the tail, it will back at you. And the man will say, this dog should be killed. This dog is dangerous, is violent. That is what is happening.
Okay.
And I must tell you that the government should know that more are still coming, because these people, as your guests have said, they have an agenda. They want to close their ranks. All this is about 219. And I must tell you, Mr. Yori, that if Buhari wins 219, all this killing will stop. If we lose this, all this killing will stop. Yes. Because if you win by 2019, those who are sponsoring the killing will not, they have nothing again Buhari, because it's not possessing again. And if you lose this, they must have that shift their aim.
Okay.
Everything in the middle belt happening. That's why that in collaboration with the media. When there's a killing in Jos, in Taraba and Benue, they will say herdsmen killed. But when the killing is in Zamfara, they will say gunmen, bandits. I mean, what is the difference between bandits and all these people? They are the same company, but the publicity being given to the one in Benue, Taraba and Plateau, you will know that it's against somebody in order to bring somebody down. And that's the agenda, because that's collaboration of the press and the media. Look at what came out in the interview, that this military allies, that they kill people because of their cow. And it was part of that. It's a fake news. And they will sack the person that wrote that interview. You can see what I'm saying, that these are people sponsoring this, spending money, billions of naira, just to bring a government down. And we are seeing that Nigeria has their vote. We are seeing the truth now. Between now and the next year, election, you will see many things will happen. Many revelations will come out. Thank you very much.
Indeed, thank you very much for calling in. Well, as it is, we unfortunately don't have the other side in the studio. It would have been lovely to hear. Apart from the newspaper, article that, I think it was on Sunday that, denied, or shall we say, faulted the first Miyetti Allah statement. The second Miyetti Allah statement from the national body was much more conciliatory and was berating and blaming the first statement by the gentleman who was the spokesman over there, saying that he had no right to speak like that, that what we're interested in is a resolution of the matter. It's peace. We've always lived peacefully together, the Fulani and their host community. That was the kind of thing that was being said. But the facts on the ground by those who are there, you know, as they see it. This is the job of the police to bring out, because at the end of the day,
it's not just the police. The military is doing a tremendous job. You know, the call for the sack of service chiefs is a contraption. It's a folly to set Nigeria back. You know, the people who are benefiting, who are the sponsors of these end games, they know what they're doing. For instance, Jonah Jang,
yeah,
ex-Commodore, ex-this,
yes,
has a prolific profile, CV, in the military.
I want us to be a bit reticent on naming these names and calling them sponsors, pending when the investigation is concluded. Because, as you know, a man has a right to defense. We're going to have to hear from him. You understand? These are the principles.
Bring him on board.
These are the only rules of engagement that we can go by.
The rules of engagement is so clear.
I know.
It's nothing as to the point where human beings, Nigerians,
as you have indicated, it's a complex matter. Because what I mean by complex matter, you explained how about the local government, you know, creation. That is a problem in place right now.
We at the coalition are very angry that Nigerians
but
are
you see, what I can tell you is that
this was set up for some time ago, and you are saying mischievously it was done intentionally. I think you're insinuating that as well.
It was done
so you can see there are all sorts of problems. But in the meantime, Yakub is on the line, wants to contribute. Good morning, Yakub.
Hello?
Yakub, I'm waiting for you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chief Jerry. And then good morning to your girls in the studio. Now, let's begin by this. Now that the suspect has been arrested, the next thing for the federal government to do is that they should quickly prosecute them. And then all this revelation that is not coming out, Chief Jerry, you cannot see deliberate attempt to run the federal government down in person of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, the revelation is not coming out now that some of politicians are behind all this killing, all because of their own selfish interest. They make sure that people are killing themselves. What are we talking about?
Yes,
in this country now, we are not seeing a pastor trying to propaganda a message in a church, telling Nigerian citizens that they are about to Islamize this country, where in our own personal family, I'm a Muslim. I had almost 5 of my siblings. They are Christians. Are you telling me I should kill them? So, Sivjari, we are in a stage whereby the federal government should take the bull by the horn. And then I want them to prosecute these people live. Let Nigerians see how the prosecution is going on. And then those people behind them, they should get them arrested and prosecute them and work together with them. And then if they sentence them to jail or die by hanging, let the governor of the individual state sign the death penalty to them. Because when they sentence them to death, and then the governor of the federal state, they will not say, I don't want to sign this. They are already guilty. Look at the amount of people that they have got killed because of their own selfish interest. And then when they now send them to death, the governor of the state will not sign it. What are we talking about? We should be giving justice in this country. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in, Yakub.
You will agree with me that most of the suspects arrested were youth, and youth that are unemployed. That is why, you see, a house that is divided among itself cannot provide a united front. Politicians were able to get into the hold of this community because of the division between the indigenes and the Hausa Fulani X-Men. Everything is about 2019 elections. Right. And we must realize the fact that the corporate existence of this country is very paramount in the mind of everybody. Enough of these killings, innocent killings.
If not handled decisively,
we go into the Rwandan experience.
It could easily become a lot worse.
A lot of problems.
Reverend Dominic, good morning, and thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Yori.
Good morning.
Good morning, our guests in the house.
Good morning.
Yori, last time I talked to you, not last time, before, I told you this case is hopeless and at times helpless. Now, if the narrative of the people in your studio is true, how come the government in power that has all the authorities for information cannot come point blank and tell us who are perpetrating the crime. Before it was men of Gaddafi. It was later it become the politicians. Before the security advisor said it is grazing bill. But I know the last time I checked, there was no grazing bill in Plateau State. There was none in Zamfara. So why the killing is going on and everybody is, okay, we mentioned a man name now. I will not tell you that mention that name. Because the name they mentioned was a figure in Nigeria too. If that person is part of killing 200 people, was he supposed to sit in his house taking tea this morning? Not talking about death of cows. Not about 200. Mauritius is about 300 or 400 people. There are some nations that know up to 1,000 people or a million people. If you kill what you are killing, to what the way generation and a nation. And we're directing it this way. The blame is supposed to be on the state or federal government, whose primary purpose is to secure life. If there's any man that can rise up and instigate a kill of 200 people, we need to discuss it on television. It's hopeless. It's helpless to go through this way.
Indeed.
God help Nigeria.
Thank you very much for calling in, Reverend Dominic. I still want us to, understandably, I want us to be careful about mentioning names because there's an ongoing investigation, and everybody has a right to defense. So but this is information that's out there, but we can't finalize these conclusions. I understand that you people are working in the field. Welcome back, and we're looking at the crisis in Jos and, revelations that are beginning to come out via statements that are being made. At the heart of it, I imagine, interesting scenario. Look, every Nigerian has a right to live anywhere in this country.
That's what the Constitution says.
That's what the Constitution says. It's complicated. Citizen Jones was around in the studio, and he just said, wait a minute, how about this whole matter about indigenship, citizenship, and then
there's
settlership? How do you separate these things, and which, because we started by saying that every Nigerian has the right to live anywhere in this country.
The phrases are used when it suits us best. If it doesn't suit us, you bring the other phrase.
Well, I think when it comes to the political front, that is when you now determine that this person is a settler here, he cannot be a ruler. And this is exactly what is...
No, never mind ruler. Can he be a citizen? This man is a settler here. Can he be a full-fledged citizen with all the rights of a citizen?
That is when he got to political fronts. The moment it comes to political fronts, the appellation will now come that now is a settler here, is not a citizen of this country and of this state, or how do we put it? This is exactly what is happening in Jos. Now, again, I want us to look at it from this part that government is fighting an asymmetrical war.
Let me come back to the point of an asymmetrical war that government is engaging, because I need to take on Eric in Abuja. Good morning, Eric.
Hi, good morning. Hello to the gentleman there in the studio. I sort of want to address what the gentleman in brown is saying. Forgive me, I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
I think
that's really Mr. Ode.
Careful. Yeah, Mr. Ode. I think, yes, you've been in the field. We appreciate the work you're doing. But we need to be very careful with pointing fingers and calling names. You see, at the end of the day, I can assure you today that if you're brought to come and testify and provide these evidences you're talking about, the tables might turn on you. Let's allow the security agencies. We have bodies in place that are meant to conduct these investigations. Let them do their job.
Okay.
The only reason why you're venting this sort of disappointment here, I can assure you, is because the right authorities are not listening to what you have been saying. It's not two of you or TVC that will bring the solution to this crisis. We have authorities. Now we're saying it is politicians, it is government. Will it now be right for us to also say that, oh, if that's the case, then it simply means during the last administration, it was politicians who wanted to take over power that were behind the Boko Haram crisis. We shouldn't say that.
Eric,
the same government has come out today. Yes,
Eric, do you think we're making investigative progress the way government is handling this? And the reports we're getting that the police have actually arrested more suspects.
Now, here's the thing. Who is the police arresting? Today it is just because it was just yesterday now we're hearing arrests are being made. What happened to Benue? What happened to Adamawa? What happened to Taraba? What happened to Kaduna? For how long do we keep doing this? I'm assuring you now, I don't pray it happens. But by next week, the moment we hear, oh, there's been crisis somewhere, I tell you the arrest that was made in
Let me stay with you a bit. Let me stay with you for a few more seconds, Eric. So what exactly do you personally, Eric, in Abuja, think is going on?
I am telling you at the moment, I don't know. But the authorities need to sit up. This cannot continue.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. We understand what Eric is saying. It's what we have also said, that we want to be reticent. We want to be careful about naming names, simply because there are authorities now, we can only hope and we imagine and we sort of take for granted, are addressing this thing now perhaps as never before. Perhaps as never before. Statements are coming out now. We, I think, agree in studio that we don't need to unnecessarily complicate matters by muddling up the investigations by our own. Look, freedom of speech is one thing.
Yeah.
Freedom of thought is another
thing.
Yes.
But you see, one has to be very, very careful about the freedom of thought aspect of this whole matter.
All right.
It can be quite explosive.
I don't want to subscribe to the views of the caller that the governments are not doing anything about it.
That's not true.
That is not true.
That's not true.
You see, like I told you, Nigeria is facing, Nigerian militaries or the paramilitaries are now facing a sort of asymmetrical war that you don't know where the attack will be launched. And Nigerian military now has been they've been training in military-civil relationship now, which is not quite there before. You know, in the olden days, we used to hear about bloody civilians. Now, even the progress made on the issue of Boko Haram so far has been made possible by the issue of the civilian-military relationship. Now, they have a joint military task force, which launched the attack immediately on Jos. When the news came on board, they launched the attack, and this led to the issue of the arrest that we are now having now. You know, it's a security matter, and I saw they will not make public a lot of things in the course of their investigation.
Exactly.
That's why I'm appealing to
the scraps that are
sort of
taking the scraps that are leaking into the media and that we're reading on the internet, reading in newspapers. We just owe a duty of being very careful.
I want to let Eric
about drawing conclusions in the absence of comprehensive facts, which perhaps we will get.
I want to let Eric know that 350
You're going to get a chance, but I don't want to lose Charles in London, who's on the line right now. I'll come straight back to you. Good morning, Charles.
Hello, good morning,
Thank you very much for calling in, sir.
Yeah, please, what I want to contribute is, I'm a kind of demand in the...
Mr. Ode.
What,
Mr. Sabo Ode.
The issue is this, The issue is this, I was born in Jos.
Okay.
Okay? The problem of Jos has been there. The other man in suit, not exactly what is happening.
Okay, Mr. Akitola.
Exactly. What he was saying is right. That is what is happening in Jos. And the issue is this, the way we are going about it, like the other man was saying that arrests have been made, Mr. Nag or whatever he calls his name.
Well, I actually said arrests have been made because that has been reported.
Yeah, but the way the man was going about it is not how a diplomatic man should be talking in national television. It's not called for. It's quite a correction of Nigeria, whatever you call it. No, I don't think that is the work of the correction of or whatever. I don't know. It's like it's just.
Okay. Again, this is we understand that, and I think we are appreciative of the sensitiveness of the issue.
He speaks from London.
Yes.
And he does not know. He cannot say to anybody here on ground. And I can tell him that I'm more on ground in Plateau than himself.
Yeah, but you still have a responsibility.
No, I
you still have a responsibility.
You want me to tune down,
to just be careful with the conclusions you draw.
Yes, and wait for, at least on the government side, their investigations. But then these things, like Eric said, these things is happening now and then again.
You know, oftentimes we are told not to resort to self-help because two wrongs don't make a right, and so on and so on.
Fair by us.
Yes.
So
in here, we also have to keep that principle.
I operate on a platform.
But we have to keep the principle of not resorting to self-help. So concluding on matters that are currently under investigation could be called self-help in a way that we have to be careful about. Someone else calling in from the UK, I believe. Is that correct? Who's on the line? Oh, Gerald is in Abuja, not UK yet. He might be there tomorrow. Good morning, Gerald.
Hello?
Hello, Gerald.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to the two gentlemen in the studio.
Morning.
Uncle Yori, give me time. My take here is simple. I think Mr. Eric, my brother from Abuja, and the last caller from the UK,
yeah, Charles,
and others they may call in, should just leave Mr. Ode alone. Now, Uncle Yori, I am a lawyer. I understand the rule on fair hearing, the rule and also a little of your media, best practices. But please, if a Nigerian resource person, commentator, whatever name called, comes to your studio and feels he has some facts, especially an educated man like Mr. Ode that knows his right and the implications of what he's saying, allow him to speak freely. Now, I know that if you have proceeded against by Jonah Jang or whoever, you will direct him to Mr. Ode. He will sue Mr. Ode. It is his right. And then, again, the defense, so what do you call it now in law, defamation, is what? Truth. If he can, defend what he's saying, let him be. He's not naive. I am saying simply that we have been too diplomatic in Nigeria. You are diplomatic, 300 persons die. You blame the government. You are diplomatic, people are dying every day. I wonder to my brother in Abuja, God forbid, if his family is raised and cleared out, and you are blaming a government that is doing its best, and somebody says it is a certain politician that is responsible, will he be talking about diplomacy and caution and fair hearing and carefulness? Please, if I come to your studio, if you ever invite me, if I have my facts, let me think. And he's also wrong. CDC has a national reach. So, politicians, their media aides, Jonah Jang, they are hearing Mr. Ode. Please, it is time we get angry enough to start calling a spade a spade. Too much caution has left us where we are. Let me simply end by saying, I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but something tells me that what is going on in Nigeria, the killings in Benue, the Suswam, linked somehow. The other time I had, the Tortif, placed a curse on Benue indigenes who are actually joining in the killings of Benue people in order to get political leverage. What is going on in Nigeria has gone beyond mere terrorism, it's gone beyond mere criminality, it's gone beyond, and then unfortunately they are deceiving the Christian community and some naive pastors to talk about, a religious war. Politicians are behind this.
But you, as you said, you don't believe in conspiracy theories.
I do not, sir,
okay.
But I believe, I will tell you this, Uncle Yori, as I end, I will tell you this. Let me go into common sense theory. My pastor, I love her very well, and so many other pastors, they actually believe that Buhari is sitting down, handsing off, and giving, Mieti Allah, some people a pass to go ahead and be killing Christians. And I ask this question, as it is.
But that's laughable.
Sorry?
That's a laughable proposition.
That is so silly. I'm sorry. This is not intended for my pastor, but it's so silly. Do you know why? Buhari risks losing the next election. Mieti Allah, who should have sympathy for Buhari, they know he is risking losing the next election. And they are killing and killing. What is their end game? To take their own man out of power. That is common sense. That's stupid on the face of it. Forgive my language. Our people should have number 6 and put their thinking cap on and know that politicians are profiting from this. This is why, even though I do not believe in conspiracy theory, it is leading me to that. Because nobody is stupid to be killing in Benue, killing in Taraba, killing in Jos, and expect their man to win. Come on, Nigeria. Think for once.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in. That was a lengthy one, Gerald, and I can see that you're happy with that. No, you were applauding, as it probably is your right to do, but
the man has said it all.
I think, yeah, but between Gerald, yourself, and other right-thinking members of society, there still are the rules of engagement that we, as a public service, and as I made the point, we do not have the other side. In other words, the Fulani who seem to be at the other end of this stick, they are not in studio, which would have been an excellent situation to hear from them. But investigations, no doubt, will cover all those bases, and if we can be patient, we will hear it. Don't forget that it was government who, first of all, threw out this ball that politicians are behind this. This goes beyond, how actually is the Yoruba expression that came to my mind. But when the Yoruba say that this goes beyond ordinary eye. In other words, there's much, much more to this than would at first appear.
I think the government.
And so that's what the investigation that is ongoing is all about. Yeah. We can't resort to the self-help of concluding where this whole matter is. We just have to be disciplined enough, I don't need to tell you, to wait for them to produce the conclusion.
There is no iota of doubt in it that the politicians are not involved. Now, if you want to take a look at...
Which politicians?
The Nigerian politicians.
Which Nigerian politicians?
The opposition.
Even government itself. Even government itself. Even government itself that has all the intelligence at its disposal and probably knows before it came out. It didn't say doctors are behind this. It didn't say lawyers are behind this. Government itself said politicians are behind this. If they say politicians, they have a very clear idea.
The cost of AK-47.
When these politicians make
this pronouncement, where would an average Fulani man have money to buy an AK-47 rifle? It is glaring.
So we're proceeding along the line that government itself gave us. Government itself gave us this idea that that politicians are involved in this. For us in a public TV studio to now extend it by saying I can actually name those politicians, we have to wait.
It's so unfortunate that we need to begin to slow down.
No, it's just processes. We're not slowing down.
Because of the system.
Yes, just very much as Gerald said. We're being diplomatic and the whole place is going to the dogs. But there's still
Rwanda went diplomatic. We suffered for it.
I understand.
Sierra Leone, Liberia.
I understand your thoughts.
Nigeria can't face the same challenge experience that these countries went through. And we at my coalition stand for that fact.
Okay. Alisu in Kogi State, good morning.
Good morning.
Please go ahead.
Yes. I think I'm the happiest somebody I'm the happiest man in this country today. Because I've been praying that all those who are behind this, God will one day expose them. And the time has come. God will continue to expose them one after the other. Mr. Yori, whether we like it or not, opposition are behind this thing. We should stop hiding truth for ourselves. If really cattle wrestlers are with Buhari and they want Buhari in second time, can they enter and be killing people? It's not possible, Yori. Let us join hands. After election, let's join hands together and be one Nigeria and develop this country. Instead of we continue after election criticizing each other by fighting, it's not the best. Just yesterday here, I mean on Sunday, some of the pastors insulting Buhari. Is Buhari happy for this killing? Can he send anybody to go and kill? Even the army and the police that are trying They are insulting them here and there. It's
Okay.
not the best. We are all Nigeria. We don't have any other country than this country.
Sure.
We should stop this. Let's pray to God. Whoever is behind this, God should expose them one after the other. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much for calling in. As I said, I'm sounding like a broken record, but I got to go there. When the results of these investigations are indeed released, the conclusions, we will be all over it like flies over honey or sugar. Now, is it, which one do flies cover? Is it sugar or honey? What I think,
I think sugar.
I think sugar.
Yeah. Sugar is better.
Sugar.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be all over it, but we just have to take these steps. By the way, you had also, I think it had been said in the program earlier that the call for the president to dismiss all these service chiefs, for instance. I don't know if you have, I'm coming to you second. I'm coming to you second, Sabo. Festus, do you have any thoughts on that? Because there have been calls by people who are, you know, normally unbiased commentators.
Well, I don't, for how many times are we going to change service chiefs? You see, what I want to say is that, you know, we always have problems with government policies, government appointment, because there is no continuity in government, and this normally destabilizes the flow of things, the series of things. So I don't want to subscribe
Did you quickly want to give me a bullet about this whole idea about change the service chiefs? They have not been able to do their job. Change the Inspector General of Police. You know, he doesn't have fresh ideas.
Of the politicians who are
That's what you're
behind this game.
Okay. Now let me quickly take
the hand of
Ayo
clock back
in Benin Republic. Good morning, Ayo. Ayo in Cotonou.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning,
sir.
Thank
you for the job well done.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you.
Please go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, this issue is a very important issue, the one we are discussing this morning. It's a very, very important issue. People are talking about politicians behind the killing. People are talking about Fulani behind the killing. By my own perspective, it's beyond that. If you are talking about politicians, other party, which means PDP, let's go out and say it. We shouldn't be shying away from the truth. But the fact still remains that the PDP, again, that is agitating to come to power 2019, be killing people. This thing beyond all we are saying. I think what we need is divine intervention.
Okay.
And as you might say it in I do watch your program, Journalist Hangout as well. They said there are some people, Fulani, and another country, coming into our country to do all this. What have we been doing about all those people? Nigeria is one, and I believe we love each other. Personally, myself, I love Hausa people. I dine with them, the way they eat. You know, it's a love. They are loving people. I'm a Yoruba man, and I love Hausa people because they are loving people. But what is really happening? I don't believe politicians or Fulani. There are some people that wanted to divide this country, and the better presidents come on board and settle this. Faster, it will be good for everybody.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in. I got to appreciate you. As I go. You know, we got to make room for, maybe you can squeeze in one or two more short comments. Again, this whole matter about you're mentioning a political party. It falls under the same principle of we have to proceed according to the rules of the game. You understand what I'm saying. You understand it. We want to score a goal in the World Cup. We can't pick up the ball and, shoulder everybody out of the way and, finally kick the goalkeeper in the balls and then throw the ball in the net and say we scored a goal.
And these looters pass the game to do the same thing. You don't want us to stop them in the game, eh?
Well, I'm just saying that I understand.
Do you believe in one fact that the current government is fighting corruption and corruption is fighting back?
Of course, massively.
Massively. And these are the handiwork of fighting corruption, fighting back.
Yes.
And again, look at it. Nigerian is faced with so many problems. Look at the crisis in Niger Delta.
Sure.
Look at the kidnappings. Look at the Fulani.
It's a whole basket full of them.
Boko Haram.
It's a whole basket full of them.
The corporate existence of this country is in jeopardy.
Okay, let me take Jeffrey. Jeffrey is going to be our last caller. Jeffrey in Edo State.
Hello? Hello, my brother.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. God bless you.
Thank you for calling in.
I think my brother, God bless you. Why don't we appreciate what you people are doing very, very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to say enough of this blame game. Whether it is politicians, whether PDP, whether APC, I think the onus is on the presidency to do something.
Okay, Jeffrey, that it?
Yeah, so the onus is on the president to do something.
All right.
The killer.
Okay, indeed.
Forget about this blame game where it is opposition, it is not opposition. Whoever that is doing it, let us expose them. I think that's what we want to hear in Nigeria now.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in, Jeffrey. And that is the desire of everybody. And I think, quite frankly, all eyes are on this particular investigation. All eyes are on the presidency, as our last caller has just said. We got to get the facts of the case. We spoke about freedom of thought. People have their own thoughts about the stuff that's in front of them, from the news. Yeah, we understand that. But we have to wait for it to come out in a structured way. This is the conclusion, fine. This is undeniable, now this is what we're going to do. So, quite frankly, even Sabo will agree that that's the only way to go.
I think so. But then until we begin to face this one-term massive problems that we have as Nigeria and confronting it directly, we will not go forward.
Which I think is, at least they're indicating better than ever before, might well be the case this time around.
When able men, people shy away because of the dictates of law or conspiracy or public relations, and we begin to deny and begin not to say things that are factual.
Those that are in charge of the investigation have no such luxury. It is those, the rest of us, that are onlookers waiting for them that perhaps, because of discipline, have to toe that particular line. But I don't imagine there will be any holds barred.
I want to remind all Nigerians that the corporate existence of this country is of paramount importance to everybody.
That is
and
the
as
primary...
such, we should let us salvage this country together. Let us appeal to the politicians, let us appeal to everybody that enough is enough.
Wise words. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Festus Akitola, security consultant and political affairs analyst. And indeed, thank you very, very much, Sabo.
It didn't allow me to give me my last words.
Can you do it in 15 seconds?
Yes, why not?
Go ahead.
Well, Nigeria has to be Nigeria. We have to be one. Until we begin to mention these people's names, then Nigeria will be one.
Thank you very much, Sabo Ode, National Convener, Coalition for Nigeria, as well as social communicator. That's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition, 10:30 in the morning. I'm Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.